computer.
Dear friends, we are delighted to have you with us today. And this Zoom session is called Meet the Soul of Ukraine: Stories, Tools, and Resilience Strategies for Challenging Times. And in this session, we would like to share with you our experience of the NGO Ukrainian Psychology Center, The Soul, the experience that we gained since 2021 up until now, and we are now in August 2025. And this session will be co-hosted by two partners of Ukrainian Psychology Center, The Soul. Today, I'm with you, Mariya Vynnytska, co-founder of the center, and my colleague, Olexandra Shymanova.
Hello, everyone. We are deeply honored to be here with you today. My name is Olexandra Shymanova, and I'm Jungian psychologist and co-founder of the Ukrainian Psychology Center, The Soul. Together with my dear colleague, Mariya Vynnytska, psychoanalytic, business coach, and also co-founder of our center, we both are the psychologists, and latest couple of years, due to the current circumstances, we are trauma therapists and researchers. God knows, I would rather prefer to be the researcher of joy and happiness, not pain and suffer, but it is as it is. And this session is the culmination of our 2-week online journey, The Soul of Ukraine, Soul of Culture, Resistance and Healing, where we explored the intersections of culture, trauma and healing in the context of the war.
So this project, if you really want to experience the full project, it took place in July 2025. And this project lasted for 2 weeks. And during these 2 weeks, every day with our team, we were creating content about arts, culture, history, mental health challenges, and mental health tools that we tried in Ukraine. And if you would like to follow the whole journey and walk day by day, day after day together with us, you can visit our LinkedIn page of the NGO Ukrainian Psychology Center, The Soul. You will find all posts and videos there. You may also see the same content on my LinkedIn page, Mariya Vynnytska. And if you prefer Facebook, you may also visit my Facebook page, and everything was duplicated there. So basically, this project took place on 3 platforms simultaneously. During this project, we created 65 pieces of content. There were posts, videos dedicated to mental health work in Ukraine, the lessons that we have learned, and the tools that we tried and that really worked, the tools to facilitate healing, and the tools that helped us and our communities build resilience during the very difficult times of crisis and uncertainty. Also, as a result of this project, we created a series of videos on YouTube. So you may visit our YouTube channel, and there is a separate playlist now, which is called The Soul Method. And you may also see on the screen the screenshots of the videos. So you may visit our YouTube and find about 10 videos we created within this project about different aspects related to arts, culture, history, and healing of Ukraine. All videos are in English, all content was created in English, and it was also not only about mental health, but you may truly meet the soul of Ukraine. You may discover a little bit more about Ukrainian cuisine, Ukrainian traditions. You may learn more about Kyiv as the capital of ancient state Kyiv Rus, which was quite prominent in the 9th, 10th, 11th century. You may also find some posts, our personal reflections about quite existential matters, we would say, about justice, about hope, how to find hope amidst such traumatic events as war. You will also find some questions without answers that we are still processing, and you will meet our team, the team of the soul, and read our personal stories and testimonies. Our core team right now is 4 people, Olexandra and I, and we have our operations director, Yana, who is in Ukraine, and she's the mother of 5 children. She is a remarkable woman, and she is also an absolutely incredible colleague, and we're delighted and happy to have her with us. And also in this 2-week project, we shared our international experience that we've gained in the last couple of years, because as a team, we all got scattered all over the world. We had to move many times to change different places. And in this last few years, we also met a lot of incredible people who made our work possible. And you will read some of the stories that truly were life-changing for us, and you will meet some of our friends and partners who made our work possible in the first place. And we're very, very grateful to all of them. And maybe one of the precious things that war has taught us is that people is the biggest gift in your life. And we feel truly blessed that in the last few years, we have met many, many amazing people. So we would like to invite you to visit our social media pages and experience the whole project. And today's video is like a summary of all the work that we have done in the last few years as mental health practitioners, as trauma therapists, and also we hope that our experience can be helpful to other countries, communities, and organizations who might have gone through humanitarian crisis, or who may, in general, navigating uncertainty, crisis, and look for tools and strategies for resilience and strength.
But let me begin a little bit from the very beginning. Our center was established shortly before the war began in 2021. Although the war did not start in 2022, it was already a full-scale invasion. Prior to that, there was the criminal occupation and annexation of Crimea in 2014, and before that, almost 300 years of Russian occupation of Ukraine. So in the beginning, in 2021, we worked offline. Yes, you can see it on the picture, and also online, and mainly conducted psychoeducational activities dedicated to raising awareness among ordinary citizens about their mental health. We worked to improve the quality of life for Ukrainians until we had to work upon survival themes. In our work, we have always focused on the core of the person, their soul. We can identify several levels of this work with the soul: at the level of each individual, at the level of the family, at the level of couples relationship, at the level of the community, then at the level of the whole nation, country, and even all of the humanity. And every time when we are gathering our groups, it feels like an ancient people were doing the ancient psychotherapy, gathering around the circle, Ukrainian circle, universal circle, and sharing the stories about the life, the resilience, and everything that touches your heart and soul.
So the first year before the war was a normal life. We had our challenges, we had our problems, as probably millions of people across the globe. And definitely February 24 in 2022, it was the point that changed everything for all of us. Our lives were absolutely devastated in many ways, and our work has changed dramatically since then. So right now we are in the 5th year of our work as the Soul Center, and we have realized that we have worked more after the full-scale invasion. And the war is an overwhelming experience when grief, fear, and destruction exceeds your capacity to cope. And basically, all these years since 2022, we were asking ourselves the question, how can we cope? How can we deal with such level of trauma? We were asking these questions ourselves. We were asking these questions also to be able to help our communities. So we have realized that we were put as a nation and people into the situations that none of us wanted or planned to be part of. At the same time, we had to learn how to survive, how to live, and how to support each other, how to maintain our own sanity, and how to take care of our souls and our hearts during this very challenging period for our nation. And the question that we had is how not to have war in your own soul when there is a war in your own home. Nobody can ever be fully prepared for the war. And when it happens, it also affects a lot your heart and your soul. So in this session, we will be talking about the context that we operated in, and this is the context of war predominantly. It's the context of war, the context of an overwhelming experience. At the same time, we would like to share with you today, being psychologists, as Olexandra mentioned, our focus is the soul. So we would like to share with you our experience as psychologists. How do you take care of your soul when you are experiencing trauma, when you're experiencing grief on many levels, with many layers? And the biggest question that we all asked is, what can we do in this particular situation? So what is helpful in times of crisis? And in this last 3.5 years operating from the beginning of the full-scale invasion, we believe we have tried different tools and strategies, and we want to share with you what we have learned. So basically, yes, our tools, they were applied and tested in the context of war with the people who were experiencing war, but also so-called bad times or problems, challenges, trauma, losses. These are all universal experiences, and we all can go through this type of experiences, and we hope that some of the things that we have learned might be also helpful to other people. So in this session, we will be uncovering some healing pillars that helped us, that we used as a foundation for our work. And through the lens of the work of the soul, you may also see that our mental health work was actually quite a blend, because we used different other modalities and other things to help our communities and to support even ourselves. So our work actually is on the intersection of psychotherapy, faith, arts and culture, history, collective memory, archetypal knowledge, and the ripple effects of care that can spread into the future and next generations, promoting healing and peace. So today we will be exploring together our healing ecosystem and model, which we used as the foundation for our work. It helped us and our communities, and we hope it can be useful to other people too.
We can't forget under which conditions everything is going on, and during which time we are creating this model. So today, actually, the date of this recording of this video is the 2nd of August, and today marks the 1256th day of the war since the start of the full-scale invasion. Just imagine the data. More than 11 years since then have passed since the violent annexation of Crimean Peninsula, the actual start of the war actions. You can adjust those numbers according to the actual day you will be seeing this video. And throughout this period, every ordinary person in Ukraine has been living in the context of the war rather than a normal life. That is under conditions of constant threat of life, danger, and lack of peace. This backdrop affects everything. It permits all our life. We have farewells every day and long-awaited reunions, but not around the family table in the living room, but on the borders of neighboring countries. Instead of ordinary toys and safety, our children see weapons of mass destruction every day, on the land and high above on the sky. People unite in search of salvation. Every day Kiev is hit by drones and missiles, and that is a pure terror against the civilian population. Here on the picture you can see the map of those routes of drones, missiles, Shahed, so-called Shahed, that is suicide bombs. And that is an everyday and every night reality of an ordinary Ukrainian people. Ukrainians are forced to hide in underground metro stations, and surely as you watch this video, they are either preparing their sleeping bags or are already there if there is an evening or the night. Can you imagine even the life under such circumstances? So we are the small people in the front of the face of a huge tornado, a typhoon called war that sweeps away everything on its path. This context constantly affects us and influences us, shapes us, of course, usually in a bad way. We are small persons in a big situation. And this context we are talking about, in our case, the war, is in universal sense, because any significant event that bursts like a typhoon or tornado into your life and proves to be greater than you, like on this picture, in terms of comprehension, understanding, and processing, often, of course, it's a bad event. Its event provokes many different emotions and experiences in us. In the essence, the same typhoon or tornado becomes packed within us, inside us. And we experience all those feelings depicted on the picture. We become all of this. And this can be a universal experience from any traumatic event. It's just that Ukrainians are currently experiencing this on the maximum. On the scale from 1 to 10, it's 100, yes. And usually traumatic events have more or less beginning and the end. Ours is unknown when it will end. And under those conditions, we are constantly searching for the answers to the questions. How to deal with all of this that you are seeing on the screens, how we can cope, where to find resources, how to process all those different feelings and experiences, and how to deal with powerlessness, helplessness, and other more.
So the war is a huge event that is much bigger than you You cannot stop it individually or even collectively, yet you cannot escape from it, and somehow you have to face it. And how do we face as a nation the war? Men, most of the men now are in the army or have to be ready to join the armed forces in Ukraine. And women had two choices, either to stay in the country or they could flee the country. And a lot of women left Ukraine with the children, and we will speak about it a bit more later, talking about the refugee crisis. And also, a lot of women stayed in the country. So, in our work in the Soul, we focus predominantly on working with women. Men are fighting, our brothers, our colleagues, our fathers, husbands, friends, and women, although they have a choice, some of them also decided to join the armed forces of Ukraine. But a lot of them are somehow they have to continue living their daily life, to go to work, to take care of the children, sometimes to take care of the parents. So just for you to give a sense that of who are we working with, we are working with women, and women are facing a lot of challenges now. They are carrying a lot on their shoulders, and they have a lot of questions unanswered. They have a lot of emotions that are extremely difficult to process, and yet they need to continue to be strong, to work, to support their children, support their teams, and also be support to their partners, husbands, brothers, even remotely. And all these feelings that Alexandra mentioned, that sense of helplessness, anxiety, fear, hopelessness, hatred, rage, despair, PTSD, all these feelings and emotions are now being put inside of millions of Ukrainian women. So in our work, we work with women who are carrying all these feelings and all these emotions now in their heart. And as part of the overall experience that we are going through, is actually losses, because war always bring a lot of losses, different kinds of losses, tangible and intangible. Tangible losses can be your home. Sometimes the whole building can get destroyed in a minute. Some people lost their homes, they lost their belongings, they lost their health, or they get injured. And there are also intangible losses, losses related to relationships, losses related to career. People lost their jobs, lost their sense of future, lost their sense of hope, their sense of trust, their sense of safety, their faith, their understanding of how the future will be for them, and will there be even the future. And all these areas of life, they actually make us who we are. That's why we also work a lot with identity in general, because all these key areas of life got destroyed for so many people. That's why the overall sense of who you are, what your life is about, and what you can rely on, all these things became questionable, because many people experienced many tangible and intangible losses. If we think about the scope of the effects of the war, the size, the scale, it's very difficult to quantify in general, especially when we really think about it as psychologists, because every number is someone's life, is someone's soul, is someone's heart, and then every individual is always affecting other people. So everyone has a family, has their loved ones. So even if one life gets destroyed, it is affecting many other people and lives. But still, if we want to get a sense of the numbers, we can just look at the numbers related to refugees. And United Nations and other European Union institutions, they say that since the full-scale invasion, we have experienced the biggest refugee crisis since the World War II. Estimates are anything between 6 to 8 millions of Ukrainians. These are the people who have fled the country since February 2022. And this really makes it one of the largest displacement crises in modern history. There are now about 5 to 6 million Ukrainian refugees in Europe. There are a lot of internally displaced persons. And in total, Ukrainian population was 52 million in 1991. So rough estimates now is that there are about 10 million people who either had to flee the country or who became internally displaced. Can you just imagine this number? Like 10 million people had to flee the country or became internally displaced. It is about 20% of the overall population that Ukraine had in 1991. So the crisis is really huge. The scale is extreme. And when we work with women, we always keep in mind that there are two different groups right now, that there are women who are in Ukraine and that there are women with their children who left the country to save their lives and to save their children. And yes, their psychological needs are different. But both groups need a lot of support. Both groups have a lot of challenges, problems, mental health needs. Like women who are in Ukraine, definitely they are at a much higher risk in terms of the very existence, right? Because as we shared earlier, there are daily missiles and drones attacks. It means that you may not wake up tomorrow morning and the drone or missile can hit your home or your neighborhood and you may die, your family may get killed, or your family members may get killed. So definitely women who are in Ukraine, the level of threat is much higher for them. And their children are frightened and traumatized. A lot of people are having PTSD, anxiety. There have been many sleepless nights already, and this constant survival mode that you really understand tomorrow may not come. And this is the reality. This is not an exaggeration. And yes, there are many other problems like health problems, work-related problems. So that's like the whole package of problems and challenges and losses and tragedies that the war is bringing. And women who are abroad, yes, the risk factors are lower because there are no missiles and no drones flying over their heads, but they also have a lot of challenges and struggles. Struggles with adaptation in a foreign country, integration into a new society, new life, integration into this new country of their children, a sense of loneliness, no community, a sense of identity crisis. I'm a stranger here, the loss of social status. A lot of women had their careers, had their jobs, achieved something already in Ukraine, and now a lot of them had to begin everything from scratch or just to become refugees. Longing for home, constant worry about people, about your friends and family who is in Ukraine. So yes, two groups have different challenges and struggles. Risk factors are different in terms of threat to life, but everyone needs a lot of support right now because war has brought an extreme amount of losses and challenges and tragedies into the life of every family. When we were designing our programs, we started asking ourselves the question, like, what can be the pillars for our work? And we have come across this concept which has helped us tremendously. And this concept has become the foundation of our Ukrainian Circle mental health recovery program. And we use it a lot as a benchmark to track our own progress and the impact of our work. This is the post-traumatic growth model. And what is inspiring about it, that it's evidence-based. It has been already tested in other settings and in other countries and communities where people have experienced trauma. And this concept also gives us hope, because it is saying that, yes, traumatic experiences, they may take place. We may go through extreme suffering, we may go through extreme trauma, but at the same time, we can grow from it. That trauma is not the end. It can also become a possibility for us to grow. It does not annihilate the damage, it doesn't annihilate the suffering, but it gives us like a new lens to see our own possible future, thinking how can we grow through this experience. And the post-traumatic growth model consists of 5 key areas, and these areas are very applicable to real everyday life. These areas are about new possibilities. So we know that when people start seeing new possibilities, it is actually a sign of healing, because trauma makes your vision very myopic. And if you become a bit more open, it means that you are on a healing path. Personal strength, right? Trauma, war, losses totally removes that sense of autonomy. So when people start regaining a sense of power, oh, I can do something, I can create something. So when this personal strength is regained, we also know that it is a sign of progress and healing. Relating to others, what we know that trauma and war, it is breaking the relationships, the communities, and people also may want to isolate and withdraw. So when people start restoring their relationships, or even the spaces that we create through our programs, these are very relational spaces, and we believe that through relationships we can heal. Through good relationships we can heal. Appreciation of life is another area that is helpful to look at, because it is reminding us that life is a gift in itself and every day is precious. And a lot of people, when they were reflecting on the lessons that they've learned in this last few years, they have said that every day is a gift. Every breath you take is a gift. And spiritual changes. It is another very important dimension, because the events like war, the scale of such an event, brings a lot of profound existential questions, and also spiritual pain and spiritual suffering. And a lot of people are going now through their own spiritual journey, trying to make sense of what's happening. And for us, the spiritual part is also very important, because we have experienced so much pain, so much rage, and so much hatred as a nation because of what the war has done to us. So we really need to find some tools, spiritual tools, to process it, to become better as people, as a nation, having gone through this experience. So we use this concept, and this has become like one of the pillars of our work, and it is helping us to do our interventions and also measure the impact and track somehow the psychological or spiritual progress.
But on this way to post-traumatic growth, there is a whole desert, whole awful and dreadful thing that we are going through right now. And I want to talk now about one of it and to focus our attention on it, that because in between all of those losses that Ukrainians are currently experiencing on their way to PTG, PT growth, we are experiencing both individually and as a nation, collectively. We are dealing with the power blowful to our identity. It's been destroying. Imagine everything that we have built in the past is being destroyed, taken away, erased, whatever you want, how to name it. Houses, gardens, farms, factories, businesses, families, whatever. All the past is getting null. Very important parts of our lives are being taken away. The parts that make up who we are. In essence, we cease to exist, both physically and emotionally, spiritually. Everything that has been created by generations ceases to exist. And with all this, we cease to exist. After all, who are we? We are where we came from, our past, and where we are going, the future. Now everything is being destroyed, or in this process of destroying. Entire Ukrainian towns, cities, villages cease to exist, wiped off the face of the earth. For example, Bakhmut, you can see on the picture, city of Pokrovsk, and incidentally, Pokrovsk is the place of birth, of origin of a world famous composer of the well-known melody. You truly know this melody, you can hear it all over the Christmas times, Carol of the Bells. Leontovich composer Mykola was born in this city that now is depicted on your screens. So the history is erased and ceased. Everything has to be built from the scratches. So the question is, what can support us and be the foundation that can make it possible to restore it somehow, to restore physically and spiritually and mentally and emotionally? And when we are trying to answer those questions, we will talk further. And now we are talking about those tools and mechanisms that can keep us in our existence. Those are really language, culture, and soul itself, our tools for resilience in such times. Becoming the experts in human experience during the wartime, we are constantly processing it, studying it, transforming it, and we gained some essential lessons from Ukraine that are helping us to cope. That is some kind of the extract, essence, the concentrate of experience already reworked, and it can be shared with others. We are constantly practicing therapeutic models, exercises, psychosomatic movements to influence the state of mind and body to help to cope. So despite the fact that Ukraine has its own local tragedy, the experience we have, a traumatic experience, an experience of loss, is universal for every living person on the planet Earth. War only exaggerates its indicator and makes it an extreme case. And all this will help us to give answer to the question, what intangible things can we hold on to when everything other is destroyed? When everything we relied on is in the process of destroying, how can we remain who we are? What can never be taken away from us wherever we are? Those are our memory, history, family, sense of belonging, traditions, language. All those invisible things that make up our identity in essence and make the everything we are. And here you can see as an example a particular answer from one of our regular program participants, but it can be a fairly universal symbolic answer to the above questions. It tells about the experience of her great-grandfather who was deprived of everything in his life. His place of residence, wealth, home, family, everything. And he was sent to an exile to Siberia. The only thing he had left was an embroidered shirt with our national Ukrainian ornament. He kept it throughout those 20 years of exile, doing hard labor, and he said, that this was the shirt that allowed him to survive and hold on to the knowledge of whom he really was. Very touching, and one of the one of the thousands of the stories Ukrainians can tell you. And that is why one of the fundamental principles of our therapeutic programs is Ukrainian architectonics, because it nourishes and sustains the entire therapeutic system as a whole.
So our identity is always related, from one hand, to our past, what we have experienced, what our family has experienced, what's our story as a nation. It's also definitely shaped by our present moment where we are, and what we think about ourselves right now. How do we see ourselves? Do we see ourselves as helpless, as powerless, or do we still have the capacity to do something as a community, as individuals? And also, our identity is very much based on our vision for the future. And yes, war is disabling this ability to see the future, to plan the future. That's why in our work, in our programs, in our modules, we try to look at these two wings or two arms as the sources also of healing. So we look at the past. What resources can we gain from the past? Like what Olexandra mentioned, like our traditions, our history as a country, our history as a nation, our family stories, right? This is also our past. This is what made us who we are. And this is something that will go with us no matter where we are. So we looked all in our work at the past as a place of resource. And we also look at the future, although sometimes it's very difficult to plan something, to predict, because nobody knows when the war will end, how the war will end, for how long it's going to last. So that part is really hard. But at the same time, when we think about identity and healing, we have actually a special dedicated module to future. We were still trying to encourage everyone to think about the future. Who do you want to be? Who do we want to be as a nation? How do we want to process this experience and use it for the future to become a strong and good nation? But what we also understand, that definitely, because the traumatic experience, the trauma is happening right now, right? So there is this constant attack that is happening daily on the, not only on the identity from a psychological point of view, but just on the very life itself. And if we also look at the past, at our history as Ukraine, we have seen already centuries of different things that Russian Federation has done to erase Ukrainian identity, to say that Ukraine does not exist. There's no such country as Ukraine. Ukraine is our little younger brother, although Kiev is much older than Moscow. That there's no such thing as Ukrainian culture. That even now, if you look at the media, big national media in Russia, you will see the latest articles and statements and titles of these articles will be something along the lines like, no Ukrainian should be left alive. So what we are going through right now as a nation, we are experiencing genocide. And this is not the first time that we are going through it. And this is not the first time that Russia is doing this to us as a nation. If we look only in the 20th century at Holodomor, man-made famine orchestrated by Stalin, and at other things that took place in the 20th century. So this is the deliberate and very well thought through strategy of Russia, the strategy of genocide. And for us, it is really important to use this word. Actually, it may sound like a big word, but this is not an exaggeration, because truly this war, it's no longer just like a military invasion. It's not only about the territory or about the people. This is a calculated, systemic attempt to destroy us as a nation, to destroy us physically, to destroy us psychologically, to destroy us spiritually, and to erase our identity. And even if you think about identity, right, we all have our passports or we have our ID document. And what does it mean? It means that you exist. You have a name. You were born. You are who you are. You have the right to exist. We think that nobody has the right to take someone else's life. And Russia is basically saying, no, Ukrainians have no right to exist. And this is not a random brutality. It is a ritualized violence. It is an engineered evil that follows a chilling, organized algorithm of dehumanization. We see it through mass torture and rape in occupied territories, missile attacks on schools, hospitals, homes with children inside. They are targeting our cultural heritage, destroying churches, museums, banning Ukrainian language, trying to rewrite our history. They're also abducting now, kidnapping our children to re-educate them and prepare for the future war against Ukraine. This is truly a genocidal practice. And they also use different tools for psychological warfare, propaganda, fear tactics, and attacks on our hope and on our sense of future. Isolation tactics, fragmenting communities, destroying families, crushing collective morale. So this is not a collateral damage. It is an intentional destruction of people's identity, of people's unity, and the right and will to live, to exist. That's why we call it genocide. And this war is really against the very existence of Ukrainians as a nation. So when we say that this is about identity, we actually say that this is about our right to exist, our right to be who we are. And women have to somehow also process these experiences. And if you remember this image about the past, the present, and the future, knowing our history as Ukrainians, and this is something that we shared in this July project, some parts of our history, we understand that a lot of things, when a lot of hurt, if it was not processed, it will, a lot of trauma that was not processed, it will continue to grow and to replicate itself. So in our work, one of the another healing pillar that we have is actually the transgenerational aspect. So we look at our past, what traumas have not been healed in the previous generations, in our families, in our communities, and for us as a nation, about which traumas we were not allowed to speak at all. For example, like about this Holodomor, man-made famine. And then standing in this point in time right now in the present, we also ask ourselves about the future, how what is happening now is going to affect future generations, how women can process this experience, what should they say to their children to prevent transgenerational trauma transmission. So that's why we also understand the importance of working with women, because they will be the key factor either in preventing or transmission of transgenerational trauma. Because the more we can process and heal now, the smaller the impact will be for the future generations. It doesn't mean that we need to forget what is happening now, and it is impossible, but it means that this experience somehow has to be processed. And Ukrainian women now are facing some very difficult questions that their children are asking. Questions like, Mom, does God see that they are killing us? If we are bombed every day, are we still alive, or are we dead already? Or why does no one in the world protect the children? Or, Mom, when will we just leave again? And these are not questions from the war history books. These are the questions real Ukrainian children are asking their mothers daily, 6-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 12-year-olds. They're hiding in the basements right now as we are speaking right now. You can imagine that there are thousands of Ukrainian women hiding in the bomb shelters, hiding in the subways from missiles, from drones, holding their newborn babies, or holding their 3 or 5-year-old children, having conversations with them. Tomorrow, their children can go to school. In the evening, a missile may hit the school. There will be no more school. Or just yesterday was another huge attack on Kyiv. And today actually is a mourning day in Kyiv. 38 people were killed just in their homes. Can you imagine the ripple effects of this trauma and of these tragedies on the whole city, on the communities? And children are asking questions like, are the missiles flying straight at us because we did something bad? We did something wrong? If I'm killed, Mom, will you find me under the rubble? Because children see how other people can die under the rubble. They are also asking questions like, are the people who are sending drones, who are sending missiles, are they still people? Do they have children? Have we done something bad to them? They ask questions like, will evil ever be punished, or is it always stronger? In our team, there are mothers too, so we hear these questions not only in the sessions, not only from the communities that we serve, but also at bedtime in kitchens, whispered in the dark. So the children are asking now our Ukrainian women, like, Mom, if I don't wake up tomorrow, will you remember me? How do you answer that? How do you make sense of these kinds of experience? How do you think the children will make sense of these kinds of experience? And we ask these questions ourselves daily, how to make sense of this experience, and also how to prevent this cycle of transgenerational trauma, of transgenerational fear, of transgenerational rage, of transgenerational hatred, of transgenerational desire for revenge, of transgenerational existential fear.
if after all those questions, images, explanations, experience, like you are still like having this question, why transgenerational dimension is so crucial and critical to us, to everyone, to every person who is living now on the planet Earth, I will tell you right now, because we are already experience a lot of hatred, rage, desire for revenge, and all those threatening circumstances that we are experiencing externally outside from us, yeah, have they that is all have essentially settled within us inside. So it's like a virus infection, or how can you call it? Yes, and this is an epidemic, the inner epidemic. As they and this what is inside is threatened to be passing on and on and on all over again every single becoming day, because people who've been hurt, they begin to carry that pain within themselves and destroy either themselves or others. There is no another choice. This pain that was settled inside, you need to like urgently evacuate it on other person and make this other person feel pain. Or you will activate like bomb detonator, this pain inside. It can be like self-aggression, the feelings of guiltiness, yes, this shaming that ruins us from inside. So the basic rule is, unfortunately, that hurt people hurt people. So this is a vicious circle of pain, violence, hurt, rage, and revenge. And therefore, our work with these packed in feelings is essentially work on ensuring really peace in the long term in the world, because what is not worked through will return again and again as a circle, not a very good one. An example of this is today's reality of war, which, among other reasons, is also a consequence of the unresolved tragedies of World War II. This is especially true in post-Soviet society, where the pain inflicted was glorified rather than mourned. So there is still a lot of work to be done.
We are we are a psychology center. At the same time, we also understand that when events like this, of the scale like this, take place, we need sometimes something more than psychology, and it takes us to the spiritual dimension of healing. So in our center, we're looking at ways to integrate psychological tools and also faith-based tools, practices, and approaches that can help people heal. Because we're truly facing big existential questions daily. As we've mentioned a few times, we have experienced a lot of hatred already, a lot of rage, a lot of losses, a lot of pain, a lot of injustice. And it does something to our souls and our spirit. And we are also mindful of the effects. At the same time, we want to ensure lasting peace. We want, as a nation, to grow and process these experiences in such a way that we can become a source of peace in the future, that we can become the nation that will help promote peace. So it is a bit personal. I'm now in Singapore, and I remember when I came 3 years ago to Singapore, my heart was full of rage. It was just black. It was just so dark. I was in Ukraine in the first 4 months of the war, and only even these 4 months have put so much darkness in my own heart, in my own soul. It was very difficult to process it. We did what we could, but still it was not enough to get rid of these feelings. And the war is taking place every day, every day. And what helped me personally is encountering God in Asia, and I became a newborn Christian in Singapore. And I have experienced a lot of support and compassion from the Christian community. And through their prayers, through their support, through their patience, I feel that I have experienced a lot of healing. It's not that the pain is no longer there, but I have personally experienced myself really profound healing through my faith. And as a psychology center, as I said, we are focused on psychology first and most of all, but it has also become part of our journey, the spiritual dimension, the faith-based experience. And as a psychology center, we started hosting Pray for Ukraine meetings this year. So we're inviting people who have a heart for Ukraine to join us in prayer for healing, for peace. I pray personally, and I just want to bring this up and make it part of the session, that this might be also like another branch of healing path that can grow for us as a center, that can grow for us as Ukrainian nation. And definitely we're all praying for healing, because what we have discussed already, right, that there is a threat and danger of this vicious cycle of violence, of rage, of hatred. We still need to be a strong nation to be able to protect ourselves. We definitely don't want to be ever attacked again and have the war. But at the same time, we want to preserve our own hearts and souls and spirits and become the source of light and the source of peace, but not someone who will be, like continuing this cycle of violence. So there are many big questions that we're asking ourselves in our prayers, in our meditations, in our thoughts. There are many big questions our communities are asking, the people that we serve. We understand that for us as Ukrainians, the trauma is prolonged. There have been already many losses, multiple layers of losses, and the scale of these losses and tragedies is nationwide. And there is a huge amount of collective pain and grief. But we also understand that pain, grief, losses is a universal human experience. And this is something that each one of us will experience in life. And what we have also understood, that whenever there is pain, whenever there is loss, whenever there is trauma, one of the biggest questions that will be always there is the question of resources. Because what can help us heal, what can help us cope is actually resources. There are different kinds of resources. So in this last 3.5 years, we have become the center or the hub that was constantly looking for resources and creating and generating different resources and tools and strategies that can help people process trauma, heal, that can become a source of support to our people now. So we were looking always for resources, and we would like to share with you what helped us.
And during this process of searching, during these investigations, hoping and finding the answers to all those questions we had and we are still having, that our current life has posed to us, the online psychotherapeutic post-traumatic growth program Ukrainian Circle emerged. It was our response to the existing threat of destruction and erasure, both physical and emotional, mental. We started initially, before this Ukrainian Circle, we started with the crisis center, where we initially provided assistance to all those people who wanted this help individually. So then we reoriented to a group support in order to ensure the opportunity to provide this help to as many Ukrainians as possible. We become some kind of space creators and holders of this space where people could come easily and free, stay together, to stay some time together for some period of time, and they thus have an opportunity to share their experience in these spaces, in the circles of support. And this is very well known, that shared pain that you are feeling, it becomes smaller when you are sharing it with others. Here in such spaces emerged the opportunity for healing for people by sharing their stories and processing the trauma and pain and all those hard feelings we've packed inside us during those big events. People came here with their unbearable questions and feelings. So our urgent task was, and remains nowadays, is to continue to hold those spaces for healing and restoration. It would be impossible, of course, to hold on those spaces without the help of many, many people whom we are endlessly appreciate and grateful. So on those groups emerged like this post-traumatic growth program, Ukrainian Circle, that was conducted during 2 years, 2023, 2024. And the content and modules of our program were built in such a way in order to meet and resonate with the needs of Ukrainian women first and foremost, the needs in different spheres of the lives. And Ukrainian Circle model is a living one, which changes according to the needs that life in Ukraine brings, which is constantly changing under the threats. In 2023, there was the first round of the program, then it was the second, and they were all different. And the currently active Telegram channel, the Center's channel, currently creates the context that meets the challenges of today's lives of Ukrainians. In 2025, the questions and experiences that people face have changed. Geopolitics in the world have changed. Therefore, we're also flexible and adaptive in the corresponding season of our existence as a culture and a nation. Thus, our program can take the place even in the 30s, adapting to the needs that people will have. And those are some screens of our everyday Telegram channel that people can come into, like in this holding space, and they know that every day someone will meet them and will meet their needs.
In psychotherapy, there is a very important principle which says we have to meet people where they are. So at the heart of our work, it is an individual. In our case, it's a woman. But we also understand that there's always this ripple effect of care, that when we're touching one life, there will be always this ripple effects of healing, of support, of compassion, that this person will spread around it, right? So in our case, it's a woman. So we always look at this model, and it has also become one of our healing pillars, the pillars of the Ukrainian Circle approach, the ripple effects of care. That it reminds us that by touching one life, by providing psychological support to one person, you are actually impacting the family, and then you're creating these ripple effects for community, and then for the whole town, for the whole village, for the whole country, for the whole nation. So we always believe that, as you can see on this image, even when you touch gently someone's life, one person's soul, the ripple effects of care will spread. And this is something that is also gratifying for us to keep in mind this metaphor and this image. And also another pillar of our work that we use is based on the approach of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And we would also like to take the opportunity to say a huge thank you to the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross Foundation, because this is the foundation that has become our source of strength, our source of hope. Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, the Kubler-Ross Foundation has become like our mentor. We met many wonderful people there who provided psychotherapy to our team members. They also helped us with initial fundraising to support the work of our crisis center. So this foundation has become that healing place and healing space for us, and we're truly grateful to a lot of people we met through this foundation. And the foundation is named after Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and she was a pioneer in palliative care. You might have heard actually about her work if you maybe you heard about the book on death and dying. And she has developed a model of 5 stages of grief, and we also relied a lot on this model in our work. And another model that she has offered is 4 quadrants. And these quadrants are reminding us that human beings are actually very complex, and that if we want to heal an individual, if we want to meet people where they are, we must remember that people have different needs. And these 4 key areas of life are emotional, intellectual, physical, and spiritual. So in our work, when we design our modules for Ukrainian Circle program, or when we think about some group sessions that we want to do, or when we create our podcast, or when we create some tools, strategies, PDF guides, we always remember that there are different needs that people have. That's why, like Olexandra, for example, she is really wonderful in creating resources for body work. And it is very important to physically do something to cope with trauma, because trauma gets stored in your body. We also started this Pray for Ukraine meetings, right? Inviting people to heal spiritually if Christian faith is something that resonates with them. Yes, we create a lot of resources for emotional well-being, for psychological well-being, and we also use some coaching tools, and we basically use everything that works to help people mentally, cognitively, intellectually process the experience, make some plans. If they cannot plan the future for the next 3 months, okay, maybe they can plan their future for this week. If not for this week, maybe for 1 day. So we're constantly looking for different tools and resources that we can offer to people to help them holistically. Mm-hmm.
And now I suggest to summarize a little bit what have we learned. And it sounds like this: during our practical work, first of all, with people, as well along the theoretical studies with international colleagues, we were able to crystallize it in the so-called soul method, which is based on the following key principles. First and foremost, we believe that culture and the sense of belonging can heal a person. Therefore, the basic principle of our program specifically for Ukrainians is Ukrainian architectonics. And this refers to the deep archetypal layers of the psyche that can be conveyed through art, songs, music, literature, paintings, etc. And thus can activate the resources for resilience and recovery encoded in the nation's DNA even. So, and this is actual true for Ukrainians, but we can use it as a model for every nation all over the world. The next one is the idea, the principle of the post-traumatic recovery and growth, which involves in particular the emergence of the new meanings in life after severe upheavals of fate. We are constantly collecting, testing, practicing various exercises, techniques, and tools to empower individuals and family. So those are the best practices, not theoretical studies, which help people to cope what they are facing right now. Also, we try to prevent the transmission of transgenerational trauma because we understand better than anyone that our descendants will have to reap the consequences of the unresolved problems of the present, just as we are doing now after the fall of the Soviet criminal regime. And the ripple effects of care that we mention regularly on this session assumes that helping one person, we often work with women, has a positive impact on their children, parents whom they make care of, their partner who defends the country, and the neighbors, they near whom they live. Thus, by influencing one person, we can improve the well-being of the entire community. And finally, we work to achieve the unity within the community and like within the soul of individual. We know that trauma, like fragments, divides everything, people, country, feelings within us. We try to stick together and look for the bridges that unite rather than divide people.
So if you would like to learn more and dive deeper into our Ukrainian Circle program, we invite you to visit our website, ukrainiancircle.com.ua, and you can go to projects section and you will see Ukrainian Circle 2023 and Ukrainian Circle 2024. And you may find there reports about every module with details about the tools, techniques, and practices that we used, the demographics of our programs, the testimonials of the people who participated in the programs. So we are happy to share the resources that we created, and we would be glad if they can be also of value and helpful to other organizations, countries, or communities. And something that is truly gratifying for us in our work is testimonials from the people. We have journeyed with some people actually since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. So there are some people whom we provided support through our crisis center work. Then they joined the Ukrainian Circle program in 2023, then in 2024. And you may visit our YouTube channel. There are some video testimonials from the participants of our programs. And every testimonial is someone's life, is someone's story. It's really very heartwarming for us to see that our work did make a difference. And we have lots of messages that people send us on Telegram. Most of our work is taking place on Telegram channel. We create their daily content. We are there pretty much 24/7, frankly speaking. So we have lots of messages from our community there. Sometimes they give us feedback after the Zoom session. Sometimes they give us feedback after the podcast or after the video that we created or after the PDF guide. So it's always very uplifting to see that our work does make a difference for people, that they're using these tools, that they are really helping them to navigate these very difficult times, and also to feel actually that someone cares, that they are seen, that there is light in the middle of the darkness. I think we all are looking for light right now because there is so much darkness around us. There is so much darkness in the country because of the war, and every source of light is now a huge blessing for us. So we are very grateful to people who became that source of light to us, and we also try and hope to be that source of light and that source of healing and support to others. And if you are in academia or would like to get a bit more academic perspective on the work that we've done, we recently published an article in the peer-reviewed journal. It's called Timely Mental Health Interventions in the Context of War and Humanitarian Crisis as a Factor in Preventing the Long-Term Consequences of Individual Trauma and its Transgenerational Transmission. Sounds a bit long and complicated, but basically this article is about the first round of Ukrainian Circle that we did in 2023, because it took some time for us to collect the data, to process it. You will also see some charts there, maps. So this was the data that we processed after the Ukrainian Circle in 2023, and this publication is basically giving more structured framework to the work that we did. So first we did the work, and then we tried to create a theoretical or academic framework around it, trying to explain what we did, what worked, and why. So if you would like to read this article, please send us a message. We will gladly share it with you.
So every day, as you can see, we as a psychologist, the team of the Soul Center, we are working on several levels. I'm saying like 7, maybe, yeah, then 7, but on several levels simultaneously. The first one is working directly with people who have suffered from the effects of war and continue to suffer from terrorist threats right now. This work is done online and not only online, but in a live groups when it's possible, both alive and online, with those who remain in Ukraine and those who have left, those two parts of Ukrainian population right now. So the first layer is this constant direct work with the people. Then we constantly supervise and research this experience that we are gaining of working on this first level with the people. We describe this experience, we collect this information, we rework it, transform it, we study it, as on the previous slide in the articles, for example. And thus, as a result, this makes us like some kind of an experts in human experience during times of extreme hardships. So the war can be like an example, of course, but this experience of losses, of facing the hardship, is universal for every living person on the planet Earth. So we carefully collect process this experience so that it remains in the form of lessons learned that life has taught us and those people whom we are dealing with. Those lessons become some kind of an essence, as you can see the symbol, the metaphor of what we are talking about, a concentration of this experience of this 3 years plus and those 10 years plus when the war is continuing, of this experience the Ukrainians currently have. And it can be useful to the entire global community as an experience of resilience, the struggle for freedom, and the establishment of the identity despite of everything that is going on. We call this experience the lessons from Ukraine, and I would like to give you some examples of quotes from people participating in our programs based on the soul method that has these 6 pillars, key pillars that we were talking about. And those people are using them to make their own extract that is called lessons from Ukraine right now. And those quotes, this experience that we are collecting, this essence, this extract, it's reflecting on what is going on of those experiences, and it's like ready to be passed on the form of the concentrate of this experience, concentrate of resilience and self-recovery, and this being able to live and to like establish the power of life even in spite of whatever is going on right now. One of example of such a proceeded, reworked essence of traumatic war experience, which unfortunately is still ongoing, can be seen on your screens right now. Those are the responses and reflections of a participant of our programs which testify to this lasting effect it has had on her. Resilience, the ability to survive in extreme conditions and still help herself and those who are around her. In other words, the experience that life has put this woman through has not broken her and not destroyed her or reduced her to nothing, but has made her completely a different person, a person even more rooted in herself and her identity. And there is this evidence of this, and this is those lessons received from those rough times.
You can think about the life of Ukrainians now through the lens of a metaphor. Imagine there are 2 circles. One is the circle of trauma, with all the events, news, information, images, tragedies, losses that war is bringing, right? And somehow for people to recover, to process it, and to remain alive, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually, another circle is very needed. And this is the healing circle. So in our work, what we are aspiring to be and what we are trying to do and to be and to maintain is actually this healing circle. This is the focus of our work, because in times of prolonged war, right, like the one Ukrainians have been going through for this last 3.5 years, every person is really living between these 2 circles, the circle of trauma with fear, grief, loss, which is repeated daily, and the potential circle of healing, where meaning, connection, community, strength can begin to return. And one way or the other, people realize it or not, they're really every day moving between these 2 circles. And that circle of trauma is happening every day, but not everyone has the circle of healing. Not everyone has a place to go to. Not everyone has a place to process their grief and trauma, to feel seen, to feel heard, to share the story, to know that someone cares. So our focus is this healing circle. And we try to maintain this space every day. That's why, as psychologists, we know that because the trauma is happening daily, the healing circle and healing space is also needed daily. For people, it's important to know that there is a good space that is out there for me, and I can come there. I can read something there. I can listen to something there. I can ask the question there. Oh, at least 1, 2, or 3 group sessions a month that will be there, and I may join one of the group sessions and see which topic resonates with me most. So even in the heart of pain, we want people to know that there is always a doorway back to life, to dignity, to connection, and to hope. And we try to maintain this space, the space of healing, the space of connection, and the space of hope.
So what is Ukrainian Circle and the Soul Method and how it works? We as a center that creates special therapeutic spaces. We are, you can hold on to this some kind of metaphor of a transformational booth or cabin. This space is the place where people who have experienced traumatic events as the result of extreme hardships in their lives, they are coming to heal into this space, to this transformational booth. And this experience, like a typhoon or tornado previously, is internalized, interiorized, like put it inside of them by the person by means of these traumatic experiences. And it needs to be lived through, proceeded, transformed, and in a certain way, like certain part of this experience needs to be extracted by the words, by somatic moves, by tears at least. So what is going on in this transformational booth? What is going on our therapeutic groups? What is going on this everyday basis of our everyday psychological content that we are producing of this healing circle space that we are creating and hold. So this is like a rough scheme that you can see it on the screens right now. And person like coming through this cabin, like through our programs, it's we are working on his ability, his or her ability to continue living a quality life. So we are using this metaphor of a transformation booth that helps people process difficult emotions and states to receive support and feel themselves better.
And for us, making meaning has also become a healing tool, because healing begins when we give our pain a voice. That's why these healing spaces are so important. People can speak, can share their experience, and also when we give our pain meaning, because the soul can endure almost any suffering, but it breaks in the face of meaningless. And for Ukrainians, trying to understand what this war is teaching us is not a luxury, it is a lifeline for our mental and spiritual survival. Because the human psyche, human nature, it is wired for meaning. And even in chaos and grief, we instinctively search for something to hold on to, a reason, a value, a lesson. That's why for us, these lessons from Ukraine, these lessons have also become like a healing pillar. What can we learn from this experience? How can we become better as human beings? And the search for meaning, it does not erase trauma, but it transforms it into a stepping stone toward inner growth, post-traumatic growth, toward restoring or maybe even reinventing identity and regaining personal strength. And personal and post-traumatic growth is not about forgetting the pain. It's about transforming it. That's why this metaphor of transformation booth is something that we often use, because it emphasizes on the importance of transforming, of processing the experience that we are going through. Painful, yes. Traumatic, yes. Sometimes unbearable, yes. Full of grief, yes. Full of losses, yes. Many big questions, no answers, yes. A lot of anger, frustration, hatred, yes. Fear, yes. Despair, yes. So actually all these things, they are really taking place. But for us to truly heal is A, to transform, to process these experiences, and B, try to understand what can we learn from them. So when we ask, what has this war taught us? What do we now know about ourselves, about dignity, about resilience? We're not only healing, we're also reclaiming authorship of our story. And this is very important for us as a nation to believe that we can win this war and we can create a future for us as a community and as a nation. So these lessons from Ukraine is like an ongoing process, or like an open book that we have in front of us. As the Soul Psychology Center, we also opened this book or this chapter for our communities, the people we serve, the people that we interact with daily. So we ask these questions also to help people process their experiences. Questions like, what changed in me? What gave me strength? What can I not forget? What have I learned about life, about love, about fear, about God, about my own strength, about resilience? And there are some answers that people shared with us, which are very short, but they're actually full of wisdom and they're full of strength. Like during the war, people say, I first felt that I could truly hate. It may not sound good, but this is truth. And the truth is healing itself. And for people to know that there is a place where they can say what they feel without numbing themselves, without trying to sugarcoat it, it is very important for people to know that they can say what's really going on with them. Or someone said, the biggest change in me was the realization that life will never go back to what it was before, and every day is a gift. I should treasure every day and every breath. People wrote, what gave me strength was my daughter, my family, my ancestors, my love for Ukraine. A lot of people have discovered their love for the country. They might have had it before, but definitely it has become much stronger. We have all started feeling more Ukrainian in this last few years than we felt before. That's why this Ukrainian architectonics has also become a healing pillar for us, going back to our traditions, to our cultural heritage, to our language, to how we cook, to how we celebrate, to why we do embroidery. This has reconnected us with our own country, and this, I don't want to say that this is a gift from the war, but this is definitely something very important that we have discovered as a nation. And
I can hear you. You can continue. Everything is fine.
Okay. Yeah, so people have also realized that sleep is an amazing gift, because those who are in Ukraine probably have had only few peaceful nights in this last 3.5 years. So just having the ability to have a quiet night when you can sleep, with no missiles, with no drones is a huge gift and a huge blessing. And also, what a lot of us realize that we cannot solve big problems sometimes. We wish we could, but we cannot. But what we have learned that everyone can do something. And my personal um, like phrase for for inspiration has become do what you can with what you have right now. So I think we have really learned that everyone can do something every day where they are with what they have. So if you are facing some big challenges or some overwhelming experiences or situations that are far bigger than you can handle, that you can solve, that you can process, remember that there are things that are truly much bigger than us. But what is helpful is to look at what you can do. And this is also the way we were reclaiming our own sense of power, by focusing on what we can do with what we have where we are. And even if it's something small, it's already good, it's already healing, it's already therapeutic, and it can already make a difference in someone's life.
So this resuming, making some kind of conclusions, lessons from Ukraine, this is living the wartime life and having its experience, as well as processing it, transforming and extracting the very essence, making it meaningful, this experience. Life is a cycle of experiences, and bad traumatic ones are unfortunately part of our everyday lives, like day and night. The only difference between those natural phenomena, which are natural, and evil in the world, is that evil nowadays, these bad ones, these dark ones, is created by humans. So it's not natural one. And we know that the worse a person feels oneself, the worse they treat those around them. And we are trying to work in this interval between stimulus and response. If you are hit, you have to hit back, and thus multiplying the cycle of violence. And we are trying to expand this space, the possibility of manifesting freedom of will, not a reaction, not a programmed reaction, because the animal is reflective and the human is not. And this point of choice lies in between this space of the soul and spirit, like on our logotype, for example, we can see here this space. And we are constantly searching for this point of choice, point of establishment, the freedom of your own will. And it's even engraved on the logo of our center, as you can see it. Because the key values of Ukrainians, and we would like to share this with the world, are that the person is free, and this freedom is linked to our essence as spiritual creations.
So the focus of our work is the soul, and we are psychologists, we are mental health practitioners. Yes, there are many needs right now in Ukraine, and we understand that every need is important. At the same time, we do what we can, and we focus on mental health, and we truly believe that it is absolutely crucial to provide mental health support to people who are experiencing crisis, to Ukrainian people during the war right now. So for Ukrainians who fled their homes, mental health support will help to overcome trauma, to rebuild their lives somehow, to strengthen their families, and also to prevent that sense of isolation. For Ukrainians who remain in the country, for Ukrainian women, mental health support is helping them cope with daily stress, losses, and grief. Is helping with healing collective trauma, empowering resilience, and also protecting future generations remember about those ripple effects of care. So we truly believe that mental health interventions and mental health support is something that will spread into the future. And we know that without timely interventions, unaddressed trauma will lead to long-term consequences and issues like depression, PTSD, substance abuse, suicides. And if we do it now, if we provide support now, it will help people to have resources to process the current traumatic experiences. It will also help people to rebuild their lives, to rebuild the sense and vision for the future, basically creating hope and lasting peace, not only for Ukraine, but for other countries and other nations. That's why we truly believe that mental health support is actually directly linked to peace. So if we provide mental health support, and when we provide mental health support to people who were traumatized, to people who were affected by the war, we are actually promoting peace, because hurt people, and healed people will spread this healing and will always be like the ambassadors for peace. So if you feel that you would like to join this cause, that you have a heart for Ukraine, and you also believe in mental health support or in spiritual support, we as an NGO are looking for partners, friends, and stakeholders who resonate with our cause. If you wish to make any donations, we will be very grateful for it. You may do it through our website, ukrainiancircle.com.ua. You may also learn more about our work and our programs there. And also, if you feel that something is touching your heart in this work, in our stories, in the stories of Ukrainian people, we would be glad if you just spread the word about the work that we do, if you spread the word about Ukraine and about Ukrainian women. Sometimes people are asking how the funds are being used. So we shared already that we are holding the space mostly in our Telegram channel. So this is the community that we have now is 570 people. And we create daily content for this community. We also have other platforms on social media, so we create content there. So basically all donations that we received, they are used to provide this online space and online spaces for over 570 people, women, with regular group meetings. We also have partners, and through this network of partners, other psychologists who are in Ukraine, we organize events in Ukraine, psychological support groups, and we basically, as a team, create regularly educational content, podcasts, tools, healing and therapeutic guides, and practices for everyday mental health and recovery. And we work pretty much 24/7 through our Telegram channel. People can always reach us and can always reach out and ask for help. And if you have any questions, or if you have any ideas for collaborations, or if you feel that you would like to share some stories from Ukraine, we invite you to reach out. You may follow us on social media. We have our Telegram channel, which is in Ukrainian. We have our Instagram page, Facebook page. They are in Ukrainian. And we recently started developing our LinkedIn page in English. So please follow us on LinkedIn, and you may find us there. And we also have our YouTube channel. And recently we created this playlist with our videos in English, and we also aim to create more videos in English to share our experience that we've learned providing mental health support to people in Ukraine with the hope that it can be of value, it can be of service to other institutions, organizations, maybe even businesses or companies who are also looking for strategies for resilience, who want to improve mental health in the workplace, or support people who are going through trauma, loss, grief, or crisis. So just for you to know that we're open to any ideas, any suggestions. We're always glad to connect with new partners and new friends. Please reach out if you have any ideas, and thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your interest to mental health and to Ukraine. And we wish you peace. We wish you all the best. And we also wish you, when you are facing your life challenges, to have hope and to find these different sources of light that will help you heal, and that will be your own pillars of healings and support. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Thank you, and glory to Ukraine.
Слава Україні!